What is up, cool cats of the interwebs? It is your girl Haley back at it again with another episode of the pre-review crew. Now, this is a great episode because we are finally talking about E3. It is that time of year again, being summer and all. Now, before we get into that and jump into June's games, we do have a great surprise. So let's kick it off with who I have starting with me today. As always, it's our boy Brennan
Hi.
and our special guest and my BFF, Emily.
Hello.
So Emily is here filling in for Mike as Mike wasn't able to be here today. So Emily, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi. My name's Emily. I don't know what to say about myself.
Great. How often do you play video games?
Probably like a couple of times a week, but it's mostly like cozy games like Stardew Valley and like Animal Crossings. I used to be really big into like RPGs, but like technology was getting expensive and I have bills to pay, so now I just cozy game.
Being an adult absolutely sucks. But even if you don't have money to spend on video games, at least you can listen to our beautiful voices talk about them. So let's get right rolling into June's game. So we are going to kick it off with talking about Operation Tango. So its genre is co-op. It's an espionage adventure. It's developed and published by Clever Games. It came out on PC, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, PS4, and PS5. It released on June 1st, and it has a top critic average of 73, and only 60% of critics are recommending it, which is kind of surprising because we had high hopes for this game last month.
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of the reviews that I was combing through mentioned that it was a really positive experience. And I had a lot of my own personal friends, like on Steam. I had a lot of people playing it when it first initially launched, but those same people aren't playing it now. I guess to fall in line with some of the reviews is that like it was a good experience, but once you finished it, that there's not really much else left to do. It stems, at least it seems to stem from like the idea of once you understand how to solve a puzzle, the mystery of the puzzle's just sort of gone after that, so you can just do it forever and ever. Like once you solve a Rubik's Cube for the first time, pretty much just do it whenever. Um, so yeah, it's surprising, but at the same time, it's like not really, because we were also kind of hesitant to be like, well, the puzzles have to be really big. You know, there has to be a very wide variety of them. Otherwise, like, you know, what's the point? But on paper, it seemed like a really cool idea. And again, you know, cool that they're shooting for this co-op focus on indie games. I think it's really cool. We've seen it with A Way Out. We've seen it with It Takes Two. So I think Operation Tango falling short of It Takes Two is a little, you know, I don't know. I thought maybe they could compete, but seems that Operation Tango is just like a one and done deal, which makes sense. I haven't seen any of my friends pick it up since, so
And I think that's kind
yeah.
of sad because, like, we last month when we talked about this, we definitely said that it looks like something that we would all play and that we would all be interested in. And knowing that, like, after you beat it, that's basically it. Like, that's kind of shitty. Like, I feel like they could have at least made it so, like, maybe there's a handful of different ways to play or different versions of each puzzle that you have to go through, so that way you're not always getting the same one, so it gives it some replay value. But if it's basically one and done, it's like, why would I play this again?
Yeah, it's uh, yeah, you've said it pretty well, honestly. It's just what's the point after a while? But I mean, it's like it's that's not to say that the puzzles themselves are necessarily bad, but if it's a short experience combined with samey puzzles, then yeah, you're gonna run into a problem because I feel like A Way Out is not something that's totally replayable because for better or worse, you pretty much do the same things as the other player, just like in a different location for the most part. But the experience is so long that like you've become vested in this. Whereas Operation Tango, you can switch whenever, and it's also again one of the points off for it. Reading these reviews was that it was a fairly short experience. So I think that just leaves every ground for a good foundation. If they wanted to tackle it for a possible sequel or DLC in the future. I think that this has the foundations of a really cool cooperative experience, and I feel like people are really itching for that. Like we've kind of seen, or I don't know if you've seen or not, but like the popularity of It Takes Two. Um, so again, we like understand the demand of cooperative based games. So props for effort, you know?
I feel like it's going to come down to people just determining, is this worth $20? It's $20 on Steam. A lot of people are saying it's short. So is everyone's just going to have to make an informed decision to see if this is actually worth the $20 that they're shelling out, because I feel like if it's as short as what everyone's saying, maybe it should have been only $10 or $15.
Or
But
it's just a good excuse for you to just wait for a sale, honestly, you
true.
know. That's really, and I feel like that's what a lot of these games that we talk about end up boiling down to is like most of them, I feel like most games probably just aren't really worth full price nowadays more than ever. I don't want to blanket statement and say that forever, but maybe more so nowadays. Especially with like, season passes being sold extra and stuff. So yeah, I don't know. I think waiting for a sale is a very appropriate thing to do for this sort of title, especially this title.
Emily, did you look at Operation Tango?
I did. And pretty much everything that I was going to say about it, you guys have pretty much already said. Like, there's a lot to kind of be said about the popularity of the co-op games right now, especially with like Among Us and like Brennan said, It Takes Two. But a lot of people I saw are saying that like it doesn't have the replayability at the moment, and maybe it will in the future, but I don't know if it'd be worth paying the $20 for it right now. I think that personally I would rather wait to see if they add more to the base. Because even $20 plus like DLC prices, I don't know if that would personally be worth it.
Completely fair.
Yeah, I feel like they could maybe pull an Among Us and maybe add more maps to it and maybe charge a small fee or just give a couple free and then create DLC on top of it. But I mean, in all honesty, we're going to have to see. But it's still a game I'll eventually probably pick up, at least on sale, because with COVID and everything still sort of going on, the popularity of multiplayer games I feel like is definitely on the rise, especially games like that. So we'll see what happens in the future. But now we are going to kick it off over to the Last Kids on Earth and the Staff of Doom. That is a tongue twister and should be a movie title instead of a video game title. It is single player action RPG developed and published by Outright Games and Stage Clear Studios. It came out on the Switch, PS4, PC, and Xbox One. So last gen's consoles. It released on June 4th, and OpenCritic says jury's still out on this one, average 6 to 6.5. Well, let's not be
Yeah,
surprised. It's a kid's game.
yeah. I think that's the open critic doesn't actually say that. That was me. That's a little
That's us.
unoriginal,
That's
but
us, but still.
yeah. uh, yeah, it's I don't know. I didn't really, to be honest with you, I didn't really read through I skimmed through the reviews, okay? And yeah, like you said, it was a kid's game. It's pretty much it's pretty much the deal. At least that's what I got from reading all the reviews. This was a kid's game. It wasn't it's good for what it was made for. But obviously anyone that's expecting this to be the next big thing is obviously not going to be happy. But even for that, I mean, yeah, I don't know, it's a kid's game. It's overly simplistic. Oh no. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's just one of those things where I was like, but it's a kid. Yeah, like you said, Bess, it's a kid's game. It's a kid's game.
One of the reviews here says it's messy and not everything works the way it should, but for kids who are fans of the Netflix show, the use of actual voice cast for the main characters adds some noteworthy authenticity. I apologize for the background noise. That is from Kim at GameSpew. I mean, again, it's a kids game. What do you really expect? If you're expecting top of the line gameplay here, this is not it. You should turn away right now. I do think that using the actual voice cast from the Netflix show in the game, if that is the case, is something that is definitely smart. I really like that. Any kids that are a fan will be able to actually recognize, like, hey, that's the same voice actor. Like, there's no difference. Someone said it's not very deep. Well, again, it's a kids game. What do you really expect? But kids, summer, they don't have anything to do. Buy them this game because they don't need anything that in depth to rot their brains for a couple hours a day.
Yeah, I mean, there's really not much more to be said on it other than like the demographic is specifically for kids, and we knew that up front. Obviously, it's hard to ignore. And yeah, I feel like this pretty much falls in line with exactly what we were thinking. It's good for the general demographic that it was made for, but in the grand scheme of things, it's going to be a very hit or miss title for most people, which is the case with most games aimed at children in a largely adult focused market. So, yeah.
Emily, would you play this game with your nephews?
I feel like my 7-year-old nephew would really, really love this. I don't
Yeah,
know if
see?
yeah, he would. And the art is really like kid friendly and like really cartoonish. So, I mean, I feel like it was made for kids, but as an adult, I don't think I would spend money on the game. I mean, from what I can see from the reviews, a lot of people think that it's more enjoyable than you would think it would be, but I don't know. It just doesn't seem like a game that a lot of adults are gonna go like crazy over. But it seems like it would definitely be popular, maybe even among like my students, like seventh and eighth graders, like young teenagers. They might like it.
Hmm.
And especially if they're already into the Netflix show, and I think this series also might have books tied to it. So this might go great for those types of kids who are already like deep into the series. Like I feel like those types of kids would definitely be interested in playing this. And again, it's a game marketed as for kids, so the lore's not going to be deep, the crafting isn't going to be deep, it's not going to be like Demon Souls or Dark Souls level of hard, because it's for kids. So I mean, I feel like the reviews fit. What more can you say about it? It's a game for kids, and I'm definitely not a child, but only at heart. But anyway, getting into a more adult game, because that's what everyone's actually here for. We're talking about Guilty Gear Strive. It's a multiplayer 2D fighting game. It's developed and published by Arc System Works. It came out on PC, PS4, and PS5. Released on June 11th. The top critic average is 85, with 96% of critics recommending. Are we really that surprised?
No, not really.
And I feel like Mike would definitely say the same thing if he was here. Honestly, Mike would probably be gushing over this right now, going, "Oh my god, I absolutely love this game. I bought 600 copies. This is my wife."
I am gonna be honest, I've never heard of Guilty Gear before, but I was watching the like trailers for it, and I'm insanely obsessed with the art style. Like it just looks so good.
Yeah, that's like there's something about Arc System Works with not only do they make pretty decent fighting games, or so I'm told. I don't really play fighting games, but I know that Arc System Works is known for their, especially like their tag team fighting, I think. But regardless, their art is phenomenal. Like the Dragon Ball Z Fighters game looked better than the anime in my opinion at certain points. Like it is crazy. So yeah, absolutely. Guilty Gear looks beautiful.
And that's definitely something that we complimented on last month, was the art style was a big thing for all of us. Like I'm not big into fighters, but I would play this game because oh boy, that art style. I'd let anybody beat me up in this game if it meant I get to watch this art style for the rest of my life.
That being said, though, it does look like, again, I don't have a lot of fighting experience, but from the little fighting experience that I do have, it does look like a really solid fighting game. I mean, again, I hate to just kind of default and be like, it's Arc System Works, but it's Arc System Works. So like you know that it's pretty much going to be a fairly successful fighting like system going on in the background. And um the other thing too is I haven't heard many complaints about like the peer-to-peer latency or lag. So that's another good thing for most, unless that is a problem and I just haven't heard of it. But I feel like a lot of people are very glaring about that in a fighting game if that's a problem, and I haven't really heard much. So to me, that means it has a pretty good latency system, which is also very, very required in a fighting game. So it's glad to see that it just comes working right out of the box.
And that's really good, especially because a lot of people play online nowadays. So, making sure that you have a good system like that is always important. I definitely want to pick this up eventually, but I'll probably pick it up on sale because your girl is cheap. And I'm really bad at fighters, but like I said, you don't need to be good at fighters to watch the art style.
I was a huge fan of like Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat when I was growing up, and after reading the reviews, it definitely seems like the fighting style for Guilty Gear Strive is going along with those. So I'm super excited for it. This is definitely a game that I might end up picking up just for myself. I mean, I fucking loved Street Fighter as a kid, so if this is anything like Street Fighter, I'm like, sign me right up.
Yeah,
You can share,
I feel
by
that.
the way. Thank you. We live in the same house.
I'm good. I don't need that.
Ouch. And now that my heart is broken, let's see if any hearts got broken this year at E3 because 9 times out of 10, there's always a letdown. But we are talking about some good games today, so hopefully one of those games that you like is here. But we're going to kick it off with Redfall. It is a co-op shooter developed and published by Arcane Studios and Bethesda Games respectively. It's coming out on Xbox Series X and PC, so unfortunately for you PlayStation fans out there, this isn't for you unless you have a PC. And it's coming out summer 2022, so next year. Oh my god, I can't believe we're in the 2020. I can't believe I'm saying 2022. That's weird.
I watched this. I remember watching this like as it came on. I remember thinking at first like I don't know what this is, but it looks cool. And then the more I watched it, I was like, okay, this. I mean, I know that there was a lot of which was kind of weird by the way. Seemed to be a lot of Left 4 Dead like esque games, which I thought was really cool. And I'm also thinking that this is one of them. Um, and I know that yeah, I don't know, because again, it's just a squad of 4 people shooting at a lot of zombies. And I know I'm making that sound like it's really simple, but I feel like people have been looking for a solid Left 4 Dead like experience, and I'm hoping that this is what people are looking for. Like, I don't know, there's a lot of this like we haven't seen yet, but we just saw the cinematic trailer. So there's not really much going off of. It's a lot of just speculation at this point. But it's the same people that made Dishonored and Prey. So I've, based off of that alone, which I feel like I tend to do a lot, is just look at the developers and see what they've made. Patterns cause expectations, right? So Prey and Dishonored are pretty good games. I just picked up Prey for the Steam summer sale earlier today, so I'm excited to get my hands on that. So honestly, anything Arcane Systems or Arcane Studios, excuse me, touches is pretty good to me. But that's just again pure speculation.
I was gonna jump in and say that when I was scrolling through the Bethesda website for Redfall, I got that Left 4 Dead vibe, and I got really excited, kind of seeing that because I used to love playing Left 4 Dead, and I know that it still has a huge community, and it would be really, really cool for them, for kind of like another studio to have their own kind of like co-op player, co-op game,
But
kind of in that style.
and there hasn't like been anything like that in a while, right? Like I'm not tripping, right? Like there's
No,
nothing
I
under the radar.
I definitely agree that like it's kind of been left for dead for a while, especially in that like 4 player. I mean, I guess Dead by Daylight is a little bit, but not really because it doesn't have that, I don't know, like the world building, the same kind of world building, I guess would
Mm,
be the right word.
okay,
Um,
fair.
but I would still say like Dead by Daylight and Left 4 Dead are 2 very different games, and it seems like Redfall might kind of fall more towards that like Left 4 Dead spectrum. So I'm excited. This looks really cool.
I,
It does.
I also think one of the cool things about it is like you have the use of different magic abilities. So it's not just humans fighting vampires; it's magical humans fighting vampires. Um,
Vampires, not zombies. Excuse me. I'm so sorry. I've been saying zombies this whole time. Oh
nice.
my god.
Yeah, they're
I meant
vampires.
to
Like
say vampires.
the sniper has like can go like invisible, and the one girl has this like teleportation ability that she can like she I don't like she makes an elevator appear and it makes her pop into the air so like she can get on roofs and stuff like that.
It just seems like it's gonna add a really cool element
Yeah.
to that kind of game style.
So I also think the art style is super cool for this. Somebody has like a little
Hmm.
robot dog as well. And it looks like you're not only defeating vampires, but it's like you're defeating like there's like smaller regular people as well. And then you get this like super vampire guy. But yeah, I think this is going to be pretty cool. I feel like it's not my taste personally, but I feel like if my friends play, it would definitely be something that I pick up just to play with them.
Good, because I want to play this. Can my computer handle it? Absolutely not.
Probably
But
not.
will I force Matt to download it so I can play? Absolutely.
Oh, that's really all I'm thinking about. Whenever I see anything like Left 4 Dead related, and especially Redfall, I'm just thinking, Matt, like you guys are probably gonna end up playing this at some point if it's anything remotely like that, because Matt will love it.
And another thing is it's on the latest Xbox. So, will he pick it up for that? Probably not, even though I bought him one. But hey, at least he has a PC as well. That sad Xbox just sits there as a brick. Spent so
Get
much
to the
money
next
on
title
it.
already. Get to the next title. I'm excited about the next one, okay?
God damn it. Okay. Uh Running from vampires and hopping into the next title that has absolutely zero to do with vampires because Brennan just wants to skip right over Redfall, which okay, we're all probably going to play Redfall eventually. But we are going to the sequel to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. It is a single player action adventure published and developed by Nintendo, of course, coming out on the Switch. Again, rough release date of 2022.
Oh my god, I'm so excited. They actually showed something off. Oh my god. We've been waiting for like years, dude. We got that one that I think it's been like 2 years actually. We got that one like little trailer. I want to say 2 years ago. I could be wrong, but I believe it's 2 years ago. Where they like showed the intro, I guess, and it's just goddamn beautiful. Like at the end of the first trailer, which I'll probably end up showing both in the video, maybe who knows. The Hyrule kind of like their Hyrule Castle at least kind of like takes off at the end, so everyone's like, "How is this one going to be different?" And this one's totally going to be different because they're adding verticality to the world. Nintendo is somehow understanding lately the verticality to your open world makes everything so much more fun. The traversal is just insanely fun. I noticed that I didn't notice. Everyone else on the internet noticed that Link has like this robot arm now instead of the Sheikah Slate. I think that's dope. I think that's awesome. I can't wait to play as like punished Link Snake, with your metal arm and you're going around stealthing, sneaking around, whatever. I'm just so excited for this. This looks so good. It looks like there was some kind of time travel involved. Uh, I'm excited as fuck. I'm sorry. I'm gonna let someone else talk now because I can't.
Well, I've never played Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
I don't know really what the difference between 1 and 2 is going to be, but I've definitely seen like an uptick in interest in the game on like a lot of social media apps, and a lot of people have started playing 1 again, and they're putting in like 400 hours worth of playtime into this game, which I've played Legend of Zelda games before, but I never played Breath of the Wild, and I was like, I didn't know you could put that much time into the game. I'm just being ignorant.
I mean, well, not really. I mean, to be completely honest, most of them typically I feel like you can go through them pretty fast, especially if you know what you're doing, because they're fairly linear. But this one, because it's so open, like you easily could spend a lot of time finding all of the shrines or finding all of the Korok seeds or um excuse me, whatever else, like, I don't, I mean, that's usually the things that people do the most, at least in terms of completionists. They go for all the shrines and the Korok seeds and whatnot, but you could easily spend a couple hundred hours, especially with, they've added like a master mode too to the first one, so it makes the whole game just like harder. It's like New Game Plus. So yeah, I easily think that this will. Breath of the Wild 1 was Game of the Year when it came out, and I'm hoping that it changes enough to make it fresh and new, but still be the core Breath of the Wild loop that everyone's just itching for because my God, was that massively popular when it came out, and I feel like people are looking for that same kind of explosion again, and it probably won't hit to the same degree, but I'm hoping that it just hits, something. I'm just hoping that it's worth the anticipation and the hype because again, it's been a long time since we've even gotten any information about this. So even seeing more than just a little bit of cinematic gameplay is enough to make my fucking smile go from both ears. Like, and even during the press conference, they were like, "Hey, you know how we haven't really talked about this in a while? Well, we're gonna talk about it now." And it was like, "Oh my God, thank you, Ainuma. You are a literal god amongst men. I would kiss the ground you walk on." I'm sorry, I'm going off. Jesus.
2019 was when the very first sequel to Breath of the Wild came out. That was released at Nintendo's E3 2019 press conference.
It's
So,
two years.
yeah, it has been 2 years.
A long time, especially to just show off like very little and then to show off very little again and then vaguely say, "Oh, it'll be ready next year, maybe."
I also think it's pretty funny because it's like we don't fully know who our big bad is this time.
Oh, but
They
we do.
Oh, we do.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I'm hoping that we do.
Oh,
I'm hoping that it's
you,
just Ganon.
in the 2019 teaser, they show this like decrepit old body, but then they don't really show anything in the 2021 teaser. So I think that's interesting that we don't really know who it's going to be. I would assume hopefully not Ganon because we already had him in some form. But another thing that I saw in the E3 trailer for this year is that it looks like Link can phase through walls.
Yeah. So
So,
two things really quick. One, there was a bit of news saying that they couldn't explain the title of the game. Like, there's a working title in the game, and apparently they can't explain it yet because it'll give away something relating to the plot. And to your first point, we saw like the decrepit body. Most people know that as, or at least are assuming that to be Ganon. At this point, because like Breath of the Wild, the first one was Calamity Ganon. It was kind of like the spirit
mm-hmm.
of Ganon or whatever. So I guess a lot of people are assuming that this is like the physical incarnation of Ganon returning. So I'm gonna put money out and say that it's gonna be called something like The Return of Ganon or some shit. Like it's gonna be real dark. Like they're gonna go for some like Empire Strikes Back, story arc where like the second I'm hoping that they make this a goddamn trilogy. That would be fantastic. I really hope that's what they're going for.
But I
But the
also
second
like
arc,
that they're keeping the darkness from Twilight Princess because Twilight Princess was a
yeah,
pretty dark game, and that's my favorite Zelda game of all time. So I like that they're sort of keeping that darkness because that was a really, really, really good title.
totally agreed. 100%. Zelda's one of those games too where it's like, I don't know. We're kind of getting off track, but I watched this really good video essay once, and I can't remember for the life of me who made it or what it was called, but it was essentially along the lines of explaining why Ocarina of Time was like the saddest Zelda game. Like people would think maybe like Majora's Mask or Twilight Princess, but this video essay kind of argued the opposite. It was, Ocarina of Time. And it's weird because you think of a lot of Zelda games kind of as, frolicking through the forest with your sword and like fighting, little imps and goblins and stuff. But the games are a lot sadder than people like initially think. like at least on the front. Like Breath of the Wild has this man ripped away from his whole life and being thrown into a civilization 100 years into the future where everything he knows has just been destroyed and he has to live in that reality. That's messed up. I'm sorry. Like on paper, that's just wild. So to your point, yes, I hope they keep it dark. And then to your other point about the ooze going through the platforms, I think that has something to do with the time travel. But again, that's just pure speculation. That's just me being like, I really want time travel back in my Zelda game. I love this shit too much, dude. I have to stop.
Brennan literally eats, breathes, and dreams of Zelda.
Yeah, sometimes.
But it's good. It's a very, very long running series, and it's definitely come a long way. So I think the little nod to, I forget what other Zelda was. What Zelda was in the sky?
Skyward Sword.
There we go. I
Yeah.
think that's really cool that they're doing the verticality with like the little floating islands. I think that'll definitely give the game something new because you figure you're potentially still in the same area as last time. So it's
Mm.
like, well, how do they change the world and make it interesting and not just have a copy of the first game? So we'll definitely have to wait and see how that excuse me. We'll definitely have to wait and see how that one goes. Again, that's not coming out until 2022, so we have a long time to speculate. But hopefully, we get maybe some news around Christmas time. But next, we are going to kick it off to a couple indie games because gotta give some love to indie games at E3. That's where a lot of them make their debut. So let's shed some light on some of those. We are going to kick it off with She Dreams Elsewhere. It's a single player indie RPG. It's published and developed by Studio Zavir. I probably pronounced that wrong. It's coming out on PC and the release date is to be determined. Now this is a game that I chose mainly because I absolutely love the art style. The colors are so bright and vibrant. It's definitely giving me a little retro vibe, but it just seems super, super cool. This has been sitting on my Steam playlist for like a year or two now, and I just need to play it already.
I was scrolling through some of the pictures earlier today for this, and I have to definitely agree with the art style. Like it is so vivid and vibrant, but then it still has that like what's it called? Like 8-bit style for the gameplay itself. And it looks really good. And I like the like theme behind it, where it's like kind of focusing on I don't know, I guess like emotional regulation and like mental health, self-identity, all that kind of stuff. I just think that like after 2020, the year that we've all had, like this could be a really cool game for a lot of us who have been like uh going through similar things.
I totally feel that. I feel like this is kind of I think in response to Undertale.
Yeah,
There's been like a
that's
yeah.
what I was thinking of. I was like, what's that other 8-bit like game that's similar to this?
Yeah, it's Undertale. Like, I feel like that push is very heavy because Undertale is like such a cult hit where it's like hard to be ignored. And and that's not even to say that Undertale is in and of itself a somewhat original idea. I mean, it takes a lot of inspiration from Earthbound, and that's again where I feel like she takes elsewhere.
Dreams Elsewhere.
She dreams elsewhere, excuse me. I don't know why I was thinking of Earthbound there. Um she Dreams Elsewhere like follows that same sort of 8-bit, but also very interesting to look at angle, more so than Undertale and Earthbound. But again, having that same retro feel and the same like RPG mechanics, and also going into like what Emily said about like the mental health and talking about really serious and sensitive topics, but handled in such a way that it's like carefully packaged and delivered to the player in this like easily understood in most cases, uh, wrapping. But I'm just always been a fan of like Earthbound and Earthbound spiritual successors of any kind, Undertale especially. I haven't played through it myself, but knowing what it is, it's and having that comparison here because it's hard not to make. Again, I feel like they're both kind of inspired by Earthbound. Um, so that domino effect is there, and you can see where the inspirations come from, which is really cool in my opinion. I think it wears its inspiration on its sleeve. Um, I'm a big fan. I really like this, and I would definitely give it a try at the very least, if not buy it, because I am really interested in like Earthbound in general and anything that's related at all.
I just also want to make it known that it is also coming to Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, Game Pass, Nintendo Switch, and Google Stadia eventually. A little more information about it. It does say that the game is about you play as Talia. She's an anxiety-ridden comatose woman on a journey to defeat the nightmares preventing her from waking up, while also finding out exactly how the mess happened. And the game does feature a deeply personal narrative with a thematic focus on emotions, mental health, and self-identity. So I'm very curious to see how the game tackles this. Um, I feel like when you're putting something like emotions, mental health, and self identity, if it's done right, it can be great, and it could definitely help a lot of people and influence a lot of people positively. But if it's not done right or in taste, it could definitely turn a lot of people off and definitely fall flat. Though the game has definitely won a lot of awards so far since it has come out, so I feel like this won't fall flat at all. So it's definitely something I am excited for. Unfortunately, it doesn't have a release date yet, but it is coming out eventually. I believe the developer is also a single person. So no rush there, just eventually I hope it comes out because, I want to play it. But the next game we're going to talk about is Emily's pick. It's called The Wandering Village. It's a single player indie city manager developed and published by Stay Fawn Studios. It's coming out on PC, and again, this is one of the ones it's to be determined.
So actually, I think on Steam, the developers from Stray Fawn said that they would like to release it sometime the end of this year. Um, I think the last time they said was like maybe December. So like it could be the end of this year, it could be the start of next year. But I was super drawn to this because of the art style. I really loved it's got this like 2D and 3D kind of like combination going on. So basically this game is like a city builder, like a farming game where you are building a village on the back of a giant creature. So from what I understood, the developers aren't really holding anything back with the story, but basically you are taking on the role of like a leader who is trying to save his village by getting them away from these like spores that are like killing them in their crops. And they seek shelter on the back of this giant wandering creature called Onbu. And you develop like a symbiotic relationship with this beast. And as he's wandering, like the world that they've created, you're trying to keep him alive and he's trying to keep you alive. And it just seems like a really interesting, like, at first I thought it was definitely going to be a cozy game, kind of like a Stardew Valley type thing where you're just farming. But it seems like they put a lot of interesting aspects with like the poisonous spores, the constantly changing like biomes, and having to keep your earth, like your land alive by creating that symbiotic relationship. So it just seems like a really, really cool game, kind of like SimCity meets Universe Sims.
I liked it a lot, just like not only because it looks super cool, like physically. Um, I don't know, I really was drawn to the art style and how it was like almost like 2.5D in a way. But I liked how it was just more than just a city builder because I feel like a lot of city builders have that, it's a city builder, but you're on Mars, or there's a city builder, but you're freezing to death. This one is more than that. This one is you're on a living creature that can like both help and hurt you in a way if you don't take care of it, which in and of itself is more of a reason for you to like take care of, it gives you more incentive to take care of your both village and the thing that you're actually like living on. I think that that's really cool. A lot of SimCity games, I mean, they do have you thinking about the environment, but not in a way that it's like, I don't know, not it's not moving and it can't like, I don't know, it doesn't have that same symbiotic relationship as Emily pointed out very nicely.
I also want to apologize because the developer is Strafon Studios, and I believe I said Stafon Studios.
How dare you?
I apologize.
You
That's a
should.
typo. Anyway,
Curse upon your house.
you're the one who wrote the document.
Oh, I did. A curse upon my house. Damn.
And that means Clancy's ours. Anyway, I think this is really cool. I definitely think the simple fact that like you're on the back of a creature that relies on you, you rely on it, and that like that's a whole nother aspect of, well, I just have to keep my village alive. Haha, no, plot twist. Like, you have to survive the elements and make sure that your creature survives, because if your creature dies, well, then you're fucked. So that's just really cool. I think that's really cool.
I agree. I mean, like, I also think that Onbu is adorable. He's this like really cute, like six-legged dinosaur with just like a giant rock on his back. But like Brennan was saying earlier about how like what I was kind of thinking was that those games like SimCity, like they eventually fizzle out in like playability because you kind of hit a point where everything's super easy, or like you just kind of understand the mechanics enough to fly through it. And I think that the changing biomes and like building a relationship with Onbu is going to kind of add that extra layer to keep it playable a little bit longer. Because even like with Stardew Valley or Minecraft or Animal Crossings, like I kind of hit a point where I'm like, okay, things are really easy. I'm kind of bored of this game, and I'm kind of hoping that that changing biome will help to keep it more interesting.
I also feel like if your relation with Ombu is able to change, that will be interesting as well. Because not only will you have to worry about, okay, well, my village is being attacked and I'm about to walk into a winter biome, but like, Ombu hates us. So it's like,
Yeah, he's
if,
mad.
yeah. So it's like, well, maybe he rocks side to side, or he just could eventually, potentially die because you just don't take care of him. So then he stops, and then your village suffers because you're not getting that change in atmosphere or change in biome. So if that is an option, I think that would be very cool, because that would add a whole nother layer of gameplay. Well, okay, I have to keep my village safe, but also keep this creature happy and not pissing it off, so that my people can actually live, and so that it'll keep wandering, so we get that change in biome. Because if Ombu dies in the winter, how the fuck are you gonna survive winter for the rest of your life?
Well, and I think because, like I said, the developers on their YouTube channel have not been holding back like any details. Like they're very passionate about the game, and it's really fun to listen to them talk about it. And they mentioned something about like you having to feed Onbu. So like part of growing the crops on him is keeping him alive and keeping him going. Like he's not just wandering and taking you into other biomes. Like he is a creature that, from what I could understand from like all of the videos, you're interacting with him.
Like a Tamagotchi meets city builder, which I think is a fantastic layer to have on top of a city builder. Having a Tamagotchi layer on top, sign me up. That sounds it's one of those things where it just sounds like it feeds into each other so easily. And another thought of like that I had is Anbu. I don't know, even the way that we're talking about him, it almost makes him sound like he's like a Greek god or something that you have to appease, right? Like I think that's such a cool physical interpretation of having this being control the land that you walk on and like having a relationship with that. That's so interesting to me.
Because honestly, at the end of the day, if you don't keep him happy and keep him fed, your village will not survive.
I like this game more than the game that I picked, to be completely honest with you. I'm not even just saying that to just say it. Like this game just looks really cool. When Emily picked it, I was like, damn, I missed a good one.
I'm excited for this. I definitely think this is a game that I'm gonna pick up. And I mean, I don't have a super strong computer, and I hope my computer can handle this. Like I said, it has that like blend of 2D and 3D graphics. So I think that even if you don't have like the best computer, this might be a game that would work for you. I'm excited. Also, they were super inspired by Studio Ghibli, and I fucking love Studio Ghibli. So when I heard that was like the inspiration for this game, I was like, okay, I need to look into this one. This is the one I choose.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Sorry. I'm going on their website right now. Um, okay. So they did a Kickstarter a while back, and you could help kickstart it. It looks like they have an estimated delivery date of October 2022. So potentially we will be getting the game then, but you never know. It does look like they unlocked um, all of the stretch goals as well. So your villagers can send a party to Ombu's head to pet it. You can tame birds. There's a water biome. You can trade with flying merchants, and there is a ruins biome as well. I was trying to see.
Did you just say you could pet? You can pet it?
You can
I'm
send
sold.
your villagers
Yeah,
can send a party to Onbu's head to pet it. Watch its cute reactions as they deepened their bond.
I'm
I'm
done. I
sold.
already bought it.
Giant puppy dog. I'm in.
Yeah, that's awesome. Best feature they could have ever put in.
You can also get
That's wonderful.
if they get 20,000. If you add the game to your wish list and it hits 20,000 reaches on Steam, there will be a skin unlocked for Onbu.
I hope
Okay,
they
I'm
put a
doing
hat
that.
on him.
Oh my god, don't give them ideas. They're just gonna sell it back to us. It's genius. Oh my god, a little cowboy hat, dude. Oh, yes.
Um, and then there's also different rewards depending on what you pledged. So, in the most expensive one, you can visit the studio, have dinner with the team, and your name will be credited as a village leader. But if you visit their Kickstarter page, you can read all about the different settlers, the world, the giant creature Onbu, and all the different fun stuff like that. Unfortunately, the Kickstarter is no longer active, but at least you can go on there and read all about the game and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's great. We're all buying it. That's about that. But let's kick it over to the last game after we got all fuzzy and cozy. Let's get fuzzy and cozy again, but with soup. We are talking about Soup Pot. It is a single player indie cooking sim. It's developed and published by Chicken Games. There's an O in there, and that Chicken Club. I just realized it's called Chicken Club.
You struggling there?
I'm really struggling because it's called Chicken Club with an O-N. Who spells it with an O-N? Anyway, it's coming out on PC and its release date is Q3 2021, so that's looking right around probably September or October.
This looked. Apparently, there's other soup-based games. I was watching Donkey's E3 recap, and he mentioned that there was a handful of soup-based games. So I had my pick at one. I put my hand in the soup pot, if you will, and I picked.
Ew, why would
Pulled
you
the
do
first
that?
one
Now you
out.
just contaminated the soup and I don't want any.
I'm the only one eating it. It's fine.
Okay.
It's a flavor enhancer.
Ew.
Yeah, it's Brennan spit.
Ew.
Come on.
Okay.
But yeah, no, this looked baller. Just because it's like it just reminded me of Cooking Mama, and it just made me realize like how much I needed a Cooking Mama game in my life. Like those games were so much fun. It was just stupid little mini games. You just made food. But this looks obviously like a step up from Cooking Mama because it's not cartoony. I mean, it's a bit cartoony, but it looks like you're making like really authentic like from around the world, all different kinds of food. And what's not to like about a game centered around food? I mean, how could you possibly screw that up?
I was looking at this too, and I was like, it immediately reminded me of Cooking Mama, and I got so excited because I fucking love cooking games. And
I
it
do.
just right, and it looks so like warm and fun, like it's soup. This would
Yeah.
it's kind of fitting that they're releasing it towards the end of the year because I feel like it's gonna be like that perfect time everybody's like gonna want like
Oh, that's
something
so
warm,
true.
right?
Yeah.
This looks
Wow.
exciting. And I did see that they have like a social media aspect
Yeah.
to the
Yeah.
game, which I think is another fun layer. If you're like interested in like the managerial aspect of like the restaurant type games.
Yeah. Coming from the Steam store page, it's cook freely with Soup Pot. Make food with a wide range of locally sourced or supermarket ingredients. That's cool. In traditional kitchens. Discover and learn about more than 100 recipes while streaming your cooking on Cookbook, the in-game social media platform. And there's a couple of screenshots
I
going
think it's
over
also
what that
pretty
looks
neat
like.
because one, it's 3D rendered, so it's not cartoony in any sort of way. So it's gonna have almost like a real, all the food's gonna have like a real look to it, which is really nice because that gives you a hint at what it would actually look like if you made it IRL, or in real life. And then you get to choose your own plating styles. So you get to dress up your dish as fancy as you want it or make it super, super basic.
I need something like this because as someone who does not know how to cook and as someone who's too anxious to make an set his house on fire with a minor cooking incident, um a simulation based game like this is so good because it's like a virtual cookbook, and that's kind of what I'm expecting this to be. I know it's probably not going to be like that, but when they say stuff like learn about 100 different recipes, to me that's kind of like, oh yeah, this is like a cookbook game. And I really, that's just that hits so many bells for me for whatever reason. It just sounds so cool.
Well, I think another thing is depending on how cookbook actually works, if you can create anything and anything in this game, I think that's really neat because that means people can upload their real life recipes to this game's social media platform, and people can take that out of the game in real life and go and make those dishes at home.
Yeah, well, using
Yeah.
the same methods that they did in game. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, that would be cool. Like, oh, I made this. That'd be just cool for like, I don't know, like a gaming cooking channel or something. Be like, I made this in this game. Here it is, making me making it in real life or something. I don't know. It's just really cool. It's just an interesting, very unique game, and like apparently there's others that are like this, but it's just the idea of a cooking based cookbook like game. I don't know, I think that that would be really cool. I hope that that scores well and like sells well. We need more Cooking Mama Emily, we really do.
We do. I am really excited because one of my issues with Cooking Mama is that you had to cook her recipes the way that she had them, and I'm
Mm.
seeing on their website that they have, like, cook without a recipe, and that just makes me even
Oh,
more excited. Like, I'm buying this game. I'm definitely buying this game, and cooking without a recipe, one of my favorite things to do in these games is just to make the most messed up meal and combine what I think might be, like, the weirdest combinations of ingredients, and I don't know if they have, like, some kind of, like, reaction or like rating system or like scoring system, but like I don't know. I just like to get all fucky with the ingredients and see if I can I don't know, do like a call me Kevin style kitchen recipe.
maybe they would because of the social media aspect. Like maybe that's how you get graded. So I'm just imagining you making just some like really just obscene dish and then having like 8,000 like sad face emojis next to
I tried this IRL and it turned out terrible.
it.
Just don't
But
trust Emily.
I definitely think that this is a really cool game. And I feel like, especially with the social media platform to it, I think that's taking it to another level. So it's just not another cooking simulator. It's a cooking simulator that you can take other people's recipes from, make them in game, and then be like, hey, that seems like it might actually work. Let's try that next Sunday for dinner. So I think that's really cool, and I'm definitely excited to see when this game actually comes out. Again, it's coming out Q3 2021. Now we are going to wrap up July's episode of the pre-review crew. We are going to kick it over to Brennan first for some final thoughts on the games that we talked about in this episode.
I'm a big fan of both. I'm really excited for just E3 in general. Like, I know it was kind of somewhat disappointing because there wasn't really a lot of stuff being shown, but I feel like what was shown was really cool. Super excited for Elden Ring, super excited for Breath of the Wild 2, and these indie games that we talked about were honestly some of the more unique titles that we've seen in a while, between the Tamagotchi City Simulator and Cookbook, cooking sim words, cookbook. Why is that a hard word to say? I don't know. I feel like I'm having a stroke. Anyway, yeah, no, big fan. E3, again, lackluster kind of, but at the same time, a fan of what was shown off. I have to appreciate the silver linings here. But overall, yeah, these games, especially the Wandering Village, I think is a really, really cool concept and something that I'll definitely keep my eye on in the future.
As for me, I think Redfall seems super cool. I definitely want to give that a shot because killing vampires in my free time does sound like a doozy. I'm also very excited for The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I want to get back into playing that. And I am hoping that She Dreams Elsewhere is the $20 therapy that I need, that we all need, that we should eventually see a therapist over. But mental health is too expensive. Kicking it to Emily.
I mean, I definitely heard a lot of titles that I'm really excited to see come out this year. I mean, I haven't kept up with video game news in such a long time, and after our talk today, it's definitely like hearing about Guilty Gear Strive and remembering how much fun I used to have playing Mortal Kombat with my brother and like button smashing all day long. I just like, I'm really, really excited for these titles. And Redfall, like I can just see me, Matt, and Haley playing that for hours like we play like Minecraft. I'm just, yeah. There's definitely a lot of titles that I didn't know about before that I'm super excited to see come out, and that I am going to be dropping all of the money that I should be spending on therapy on these games.
That she should also use to build a PC, but PC parts are expensive.
You can fight me.
Gladly. And now that is it for our episode for July of the pre-review crew. I thank you for listening. I thank our guest Emily for being here. Brennan gets no thanks because he's just always here. And that is it. I hope you have a great day, evening, lunch, night, breakfast, wherever you are. And we will see you next time. Toodaloo.
Bye.
Bye-bye.